So moving on to the ethical considerations. So in conversations about this topic, ethics is often thought to mean safety or safe enough. Right? And there are some who think that if the safety of the techniques were improved, that the ethical concerns would be solved. And while safety is, of course, a serious concern, we're very far from it right now. And in order to determine safety, we would have to conduct clinical trials on humans, right, that would have unknown consequences for the participants of those trials. But it's far from the whole picture about ethics. Another common approach is to treat ethics as an individual and privatized matter. So a researcher has to get informed consent from a subject, and even though it's impossible to obtain consent from those who have yet to be born, many argue that a parent is authorized to give consent for their child. So life safety informed consent is very important, but it is not sufficient when coming to assessing a process such as this, which is not only an individual matter, individual rights matter, it's a communal matter. It's a species-altering technology as well as a society-altering technology. So this means we have to take a very careful look at the social dynamics that are involved when introducing human germline modification, including particularly the commercial dynamics. Right? And while we can't quantify those risks, they're nonetheless very real and we have to consider them. So what are the social concerns about human germline modification? The worst case scenario, of course, is quite scary, ranging from a genetics arms race between nations to a world in which wealthy parents could purchase genetic enhancements for their future children, leading to the emergence of genetic haves and have-nots. And for those of you familiar with the science fiction film Gattaca from the late 90s, which depicts a dystopian future society based on genetic discrimination, it may sound familiar but unrealistic, right? But it is not. So Lee Silver, an esteemed Princeton molecular geneticist, he wrote a book in the late 90s, about the same time as Gattaca, titled Remaking Eden, that actually idealizes the world of Gattaca. He imagines it populated by what he calls the gene-enriched or gen-rich group, a biologically engineered group of humans that would rule society, and the naturals, who would be ruled by the gen-rich. So while this seems blatantly too discriminatory to be taken seriously, it unfortunately was and is taken seriously, and he is still a Princeton professor with all of the, the influence that gives him. And he was actually invited by Time magazine in 1999 to speculate about how such genetic enhancements might be introduced in the fertility clinic. So in response, he imagined an ad for a future fertility clinic with a service called organic enhancement with the pitch, keep in mind you must act before you get pregnant. Don't be sorry after she's born. This really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for your child to be. Okay. So many people hear about such scenarios and think that we can avoid them while still embracing germline modification for medical purposes. And this is in fact the premise of the recent U.S. National Academies report. Everyone wants healthy children, but we actually don't need germline modification to prevent the transmission of inheritable diseases. The embryo screening technique known as pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, or PGD, has been around for a couple of decades. And for people at risk of passing on a serious genetic mutation, it can provide an unaffected and fully genetically related child, right? And it eliminates an unwanted gene from the family's lineage. So you're basically creating many embryos and only choosing to implant the embryo that's unaffected with that particular disorder. And as Eric Lander, an MIT geneticist, has argued, genome editing itself would require making IVF embryos, many of them, using PGD to identify those that have the disease, repair the gene, and then implant that embryo. Yet it would be easier and safer simply to use PGD to identify and implant the embryos that aren't at risk in the first place. And while PGD itself is not risk-free and it is not ethics-free, especially from a disability rights perspective, it is far safer and far less socially and ethically fraught than manipulating the germline itself.